Lightning Ridge was, and it still is, a very unique place and a very multicultural place.
Growing up in Lightning Ridge, I think it was very special. There wasn't as many people when I grew up, so everybody was really close. That's something really special about Lightning Ridge and something we all talk about. How we think we're really lucky to have lifelong friends that are just your family too.
So Lightning Ridge has got a rich culture here. And being here on the country, it's got a lot of resources like nowhere else. There's a strong connection here with the local people to the land. This is part of your healing.
Gayanga Silla, Dunduwilina Lightning Ridge, Ga Yuwaalaraay. My name's Priscilla Strasek and I live in Lightning Ridge on Yuwaalaraay Country. I'm Yuwaalaraay, Gamilaroi and Walewan. That's my connection.
My name's Tom Barker. I am a proud Murrawari and Yorta man and also Wiradjuri. I grew up here in Lightning Ridge. Most of my childhood and most of my life I lived on Barwon 4 Aboriginal Reserve in Brewarrina.
My name's Wesley Shaw. I'm a Yuwaalaraay Country and Yuwaalaaray man from the far south coast of New South Wales, and I'm the Programs Manager for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander art at the Art Gallery New South Wales. So Djamu in the Sydney language means here I come, and has become the kind of umbrella term that we use at the gallery to define our Indigenous-led programming for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander young people and communities. All the projects are kind of co-facilitated with leading Aboriginal artists and communities and delivered by the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander staff at the Art Gallery as well. This project came about probably 2 or 3 years ago. I've known Lucy Simpson for quite a while now, and Lucy a couple years back had been on residency in the UK and studied a number of objects in the British Museum, and specifically one object came to mind. It's a timber water carrier that's been attributed to the Darling River region. So in 2022 I was fortunate enough to spend some time at the British Museum, and nothing can quite compare to the experience of holding the object and getting a sense of its weight, its feel, and how beautifully refined an object it is. Up close you can see on the inside of the bowl those charcoal marks and the strike marks where that burnout charcoal has been removed to hollow the bowl, and the delicate fibre handle which is still beautifully intact and waxed, and the sheer amount of time that would have gone into making this object, and the permanence of this carrier to the maker is something that shouldn't be underplayed. You know, you're not making 50 of these objects, you're making one to last a lifetime. That opens up interesting conversations about understanding this object as self or as your well-being. We're going to have these conversations that talk about the process of fire and the qualities of fire. You know, it can either be really destructive or can be used and tended to in a way that it can create really beautiful things or moments or objects and feelings. Lucy has had really long-standing relationships with Tom Barker, who is a carver and artist, and Priscilla Strasek, who's a Yuwaalaaray language holder, and finding that way for them to connect to the project, to the materials, by having timbers from Yuwaalaraay Country, freshwater fibres from this country, but then also collecting saltwater fibres as well.
My father, he was the last of the weapon makers that grew up with the Murrawari and Ngimbar people on the Brewarrina mission, learnt the art of traditional artefact making. My dad would take us out in the bush and show us all the roots where we'd make our boomerangs, the different trees that'd make our clubs, spears, and the best time to go out and cut them. And from that young age, that's where I had a passion then to decide that I'll want to do this too.
Growing up, we used bush medicines and there was bush food. And then getting older, like learning more about the language name to those foods. With the language, we grew up hearing little sentences and phrases and words. And then, yeah, we did like a language course. That was really like a turning point of wanting to learn more about our language and then connecting that to country.
Lucy being a Yuwaalaraay artist whose country is in northwestern New South Wales, it's quite a specific set of materials that comes from country. Working collectively to identify the trees that we'd be sourcing the timber burls from. And once removed from the tree, the burl itself and its natural shape will become the water carrier.
When there's a lot of dew or frosts around, is in the late winter months, we know that it's the right time to cut the bark, particularly out here on our black soil and the ridges.
You know, being out in the bush and putting the practice into country and learning all about, you know, what we can make from all of our trees and our plants and everything that's on country that's so special. It's like you've had glasses on that are fogged up and the fog's away from the glasses. You just can see things clearly, things that you've never seen before.
A burl can appear on the trunk of a tree for a couple of reasons. Some trees, when they're under stress during periods of drought, will try to shoot out more branches to take on rain and sunlight, and it's those branches that don't make it all the way through the bark that create a little imperfection in the surface of the trunk. And that change in the grain will just start to grow and grow over time, and you end up with these bulbous kind of growths on the outside.
We're sitting on the opal ridges here now, you know, in the main trees that you can see behind me, we can see with the burls on them is the bimble box or yellow box, and here locally.
Yeah, not taking too many from a single tree, not taking burls from trees that might have significance in other ways.
We thank the trees and ask permission to use the trees and respect them. And as a wood carver or a craftsman myself, one thing we do have to have is respect for the trees.
Bamba nala Yuwaalaraay, Gidnini Wayama Winnangailana, Gidnini Gugu Winnangailana, Ninanya Ubala, Nini Winnangailana.
We'd like to welcome you today on Yuwaalaraay and Yuwaalaraay Country. We'd like to pay our respect to those who has passed and who is present here today and emerging. We'd like to thank everybody for this beautiful land we stand on today. Thank you.
This is our bimble box or yellow box. We're going to be trying to work a traditional way with some of our stone wedges and wooden wedges, and hopefully try and get it started off to try and lift it off the best way we can. The barks just seem to be coming off as we're carving into it. Seems to be a lot of moisture there, a lot of sap running, and it's just lifting off easy.
You start to see the grain of that timber as well. Like if you get a carve in the top here, is that where you're getting the timber wedges?
Yeah. We can get a cut in, and then we can start going down. We've got a cut on the side here. I think if we can get some wedges, start making a carve into here.
And that'll just follow the grain and run down.
Yeah. Hold on. You're still hanging on. Oh. Gee, I couldn't hold it. Was that heavy?
That's absolutely beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Look at wood, different coloured wood.
Having collected all the timber burls, which will be used for the water carriers, started to think about objects that could be used to carry the fibres as well. So Tom went out and collected 2 bark coolamans from 2 different coolabah trees that will cradle the fibres that will be used to create the handles.
All good, yeah. Thank you.
After he cut those bark coolabah coolamans, sealing those with country itself, and that comes back to again those teachings that Tom's been practicing for decades now. You know, you're understanding that the trees are gifting us these materials and their growth and their life is so connected to the country that they're on. We went out with Auntie Brenda, Silla and Lucy to collect Kurrajong fibre. Kurrajong being a tree from this region that has this really delicate lace-like inner bark that can be processed and used to create fibre.
We get permission from our elders, and Walgan Brenda, she's been a big part of this. Having her to guide us and just being there, because she gives you that strength.
Yuwaalaaray.
Andagagi. Mayuba.
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 Mayuba. Let's go.
Yeah, but she's a great encouragement, and she's done so much too, like, you know, for country and for us.
A lot of layers, eh? Look at that.
Layers after layers, about 4 layers.
That's like the meat, eh? Meat in the skin.
You know, learning about how important it is, you know, not just for the fibre, but everything else. There's so much, you know, to do with shelter, food, water, medicine. You just heard the little birds. It's a, you know, it's a home for them.
Well, all our trees are very special, but this one belongs to the Noongar people, so that's one of the clan groups of the Yuwaalaaray people.
People say, oh, you know, that's just the tree, but it's the Noongar tree. It's got a name. It's from country. The name's from country. Our tree's from country. And it's a very important tree. And that's evident by that one of our clan groups is the Noongar people. So that's how significant it is. They are the Kurrajong people. I think that's the most important thing that we have is our time and how we spend it. And so when you have time to go out in the bush, quiet your mind, it changes a lot, because it really makes you think about what's important, maybe what you wasted your time on, and what we need to do for our future generations.
Once we'd collected the burls and fibres and returned to the gundi, Auntie Brenda directed us to smoke each of the objects and ourselves. And that comes back to, I think, the respect for the trees and the country that we're collecting from. We started to slowly work down 2 of the bowls, just slowly building up a small fire in the centre. And the hope there is that the burl itself will become the charcoal in a way, and then you keep kind of just adding smaller bits of timber on top to keep that heat moving down. We were using gidgee, which is the 3rd densest timber in the world and really throws off quite a lot of heat. Not wanting to burn all the way through, every now and then we'd tip out the gidgee charcoal and using the timber or the mulga wedges that we'd used earlier in the day to remove the first burl, and just slowly chipping away those bits of charcoal that could break away, and removing the ash and then starting that process again.
Lucy and I, we spoke about calling it the women's water carrier. So it's Wirri Yinnarngu. And even with the Wirri, there's so many meanings. With Lightning Ridge, Yuwaalaraay Country is opal, the rainbow stone. So there you can hear the Wirri in there, Yuwaalaraay, which is the rainbow, and Wirri is our little holder, and the rainbow and water, and also the shape of the rainbow and the shape of our Wirri. So there's all these connections. Also here we've got our old stories of like for collecting honey. So Warangana is the honey.
This project and the process of slowly using fire to burn away the burl opens up a space for young people to share. And for Auntie Brenda and Silla, Lucy and Tom to share their knowledge as well.
The world seems so heavy now, and how can we make it a bit lighter?
As Aboriginal people, we've got to connect back to country and find that healing. There's no better healing than this.
We have our little Wirri, but it's empty. But we shouldn't think of it like that, so I'm not going to say that. Maybe Wirri Yinnarngu, Gungam Bi, Warangana Bi. From this, we'll see our Wirri with water and with honey.